guys, so I'm back with a review, and today I will be reviewing Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. It is the second and last installment of the Six of Crows duology, and I shall be reviewing it today. Now this is a non-spoiler, so I'm not going to spoil anything at all. I will be making a separate spoiler video discussion thing on Crooked Kingdom, so that'll be coming up later, maybe straight after this one, I don't know, but yeah, so there's gonna be no spoilers in this whatsoever. Before we get started in the actual review, I have something to say about this book. If you haven't read the Grisha trilogy and you're currently reading or you're about to read this, you've been warned, it spoils it. Now I haven't read the Grisha trilogy, so you know, that was fun. I'm just going to talk about that a little bit because it is part of my review of the book. Because of this big spoil that happens in this, it kind of put me off the book for a little bit. I stopped reading it for a while because I was just so annoyed. I'm a little annoyed about it because Six of Crows didn't really have spoilers in it. There were more like Easter eggs, if anything. Like they mentioned characters from the Grisha trilogy, because I know the Grisha trilogy is set a few years before the Six of Crows duology. Like I know that. I know they're in the same universe, and I went into reading knowing that. And if you read Six of Crows, I'm sure there's like Easter eggs in there. And if you've read like for the Grisha trilogy and that you can pick up on. But there was nothing in there to me when I read it that I was like, oh, that's a spoiler, you know? Like Six of Crows didn't have any of that. I looked this up before when I picked up Six of Crows ages ago, I was like, is this going to spoil Grisha? Like, will it spoil? I looked it up. She said it doesn't. Everybody said it doesn't. There's just tiny Easter eggs. There's no plot point spoilers in Six of Crows. So I'd assume that went to Crooked Kingdom as well, because I literally looked up if Crooked Kingdom spoils the Grisha, and I couldn't find it anywhere that it said it did. Like, I searched it because I had an inkling. I was like, what if it spoils it? Because I bought the first two Grisha trilogy books, and I had them, and I was like, oh, should I read them beforehand? But then I was like, but I'm already in, like, the mood of Six of Crows. Like, I finished the first one. It's been a few months. I want to finish the second one. Like, I want to go straight into it. And so I read it, and it spoils it. So that was nice. I just personally think if you're going to have no big plot point spoilers in Six of Crows, I don't think you should do the same for Crooked Kingdom. Because if you're like me and you read the second book straight after because you just want to finish it, you're going to be spoiled. So this book, obviously, it goes straight into, like, getting Inej back. I think it's like a week after she is taken and kidnapped. So it's just about them getting her back. The overall plot is getting revenge on Jan Van Eyck, because he betrayed them and he never gave them money because the money was never there. Compared to Six of Crows, this was a little bit more confusing to follow along, because there was a lot of other plots going along. It wasn't like there was one big overall plot like in Six of Crows. The heist is the big overall plot. You know what's going to happen. You know it's there. It's a thing that's, you know, that they're planning for. Whereas with this, the thing that they're planning for is kind of, is revenge on Van Eyck, but there's not like a set plot of what they'll be doing to get him back. Yeah, with Six of Crows, it's more like the heist is the big thing that they're doing, and then the whole build-up is just getting to know the characters, who the characters are, and side plots and stuff like that. Whereas with this one, it was just like it was just plot after plot. Like there'd be one storyline, then another storyline, then another storyline, instead of there being an overall thing. I guess like the overall thing is getting revenge on him, but there wasn't like a set idea of what we're going to be doing to him, you know? And I guess it's because like a lot of the time you don't know what's happening. Again, the reader is kind of left out on details. Only the characters know what's happening. It happened a lot, I think, in this book, where you were left out and you only knew what was happening when the characters started doing their stuff. The same thing with Six of Crows. When they started actually doing the heist, you were left out a lot of the time with their plans to make it more surprising when stuff would happen. And I get that it worked, like, it's a good little idea, but sometimes it was a bit too confusing, and I was like, can I just be with you at some, like, can I just be in on a plot for once instead of having to find out as it goes along, because it happened a bit too much. The characters are paired off in this, so when they do like their side plots or like their side stories, the entire book doesn't have 6 characters all over the place. You know what I mean? So they have Wylan and Jesper, Kaz and Inej, and Nina and Matthias. So yeah, so it's not like there's 6 characters all over Ketterdam and you're like going back and forth between all of these characters all over the place and you have to get acquainted with what they're doing. Instead, by pairing them off and having them go on missions together, it just bounces from perspective. Speaking of characters, well, there was definitely more character development in this. Obviously, you're gonna get that with a second book. There was a lot of backstories with this. So there was a lot of backflashes in this book, like a lot. And there was more like character background progressing and all this stuff as well, which was good because it lets you establish the characters way more. There was one thing, however, that was so confusing. It happened with Matthias. He has a memory of being back on the ship when they're leaving the ice court. And within that memory, he's having another memory. So it's a flashback within a flashback. And I was so confused at one point because when it went to the flashback went into like present tense. And then within the flashback, he went into another flashback and he started thinking about something else. And I was like, is this happening? Are they on a... I was just a little confused. Not gonna lie, that was just something that popped into my brain, so I had to say. I would definitely say that this book was a lot more character driven than plot driven, which isn't bad because I love her characters. Like, every single one of her characters are so amazing, and I think it does make the story a bit better when the characters are fully fleshed out. But yeah, I definitely think the characters are an A+, but the plot was an A- for Crooked Kingdom, just because at points I was confused and it spoiled. And yes, that did make me annoyed because it happened a lot. There was a lot, like after that, it just kept... I got spoiled at least 3 more times after that, and I was like, oh, can I just read this in peace? But like I said, there's definitely so much more character development in this. It is a good sequel. It is a good sequel. If you've read Grisha, you'll love this. When I finish reading the Grisha trilogy, I will probably 100% appreciate this book so much more than what I do now. I do love it. Like, okay, the ending to this book made everything go away. Like, literally, when I finished this book, I was like, you know what? I don't care. I don't care that I was spoiled because the ending was perfect. The ending for this book was beautiful. It made everything a little bit more better. I was still a bit pooped about the spoilers, but it was a good ending. I definitely think it's an 8.9 out of 10. The plot was there, but it's easy to compare it with Six of Crows when Six of Crows had this set goal and you knew what the book was going to be about. You get what I mean? That's why I'm comparing it so much to it and the differences, because with this plot, you didn't have an end thing. But like I said, I did enjoy the ending of this book. It was great. I cried a lot, just out of happiness and sadness and all this other stuff. And yes, that's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to be putting up a spoiler review of this. More like a spoiler discussion where I'd get more into depth with things that happened in this book. It is a good sequel, and like I said, if you've read the Grisha trilogy, go right ahead. You'll love this, honestly. You will. And I definitely think I'd like it way more if I had read those books beforehand, which I will. I'll probably reread the series afterwards and love it even more because I love her characters. Leigh Bardugo writes amazingly. These, like, it's still probably, like, one of my favourite books, even with the little hiccups that happened. I still love it a lot. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you all again soon. Goodbye.